Now, there's been a deluge of online discussion following reports in the Chinese media that the son of a high-profile military entertainer is being investigated in connection with an alleged gang rape of a young woman. Beijing media reported that the 17-year-old son of Li Shuangjiang, a high-profile singer of patriotic revolutionary songs, is being held by police investigating an incident which is said to have taken place in a Beijing hotel. Li Shuangjiang holds the military rank of Major General in the People's Liberation Army and is a well-known face on TV galas and public events, where his repertoire of jingoistic songs goes down well with those of a nationalist bent or simply nostalgic for the revolutionary past. What has ratcheted up the interest even more this time around is that the same son, named both as Li Tianyi, his former name, and Li Guanfeng, as he's known now, was only recently released from a sort of juvenile correctional facility or detention centre, where he'd spent over a year following a previous brush with the law. Now, cases which Chinese net users suspect involve the children of what are seen as members of the privileged elite acting arrogantly and often riding roughshod over the law really tend to provoke a furious reaction in China's online community, and this one appears to be no exception. Well, to hear some of that reaction and what Chinese net users have to say about this, let's join our researcher Julia Liu in the newsroom. Okay, so Julia, let's just point out that so far this case is still being investigated by the police, but can you give us an idea of what the reaction has been to this affair so far?
Sure. Well, I'd have to say that as often happens online, many net users seem to have already made up their minds on this. And I'd say outrage is probably the best way to describe the general reaction. And 大魔法师梁小浪 says this on Weibo.com. Well, apparently Li hasn't learned his lesson from the juvenile correctional camp. You can explain things away by making excuses about being too young when you commit a first crime, but how do you explain if it happens twice? And of course, that poster is referring to Li Tianyi's first brush with the law, which you mentioned. Well, in 2011, at the age of 15, he was sentenced to a year in what's called a youth reform center after he was caught driving a souped-up BMW without a license and assaulting a couple in Beijing. And on that occasion, he also enraged the online community by arrogantly warning bystanders not to call the police. And the fact that Li had so recently been released has also sparked discussion about the youth reformation system in China as well. Well, Wu Bin, who works at the procuratorate in Beijing, well, that's the equivalent of the DA's office, wrote this on QQ.com. Many juveniles sent to youth reformation centers aren't that bad, but they learn from other bad kids in the centers, and their so-called jail time experience seems to become a bragging point for them. And this user also questions the effectiveness of this system, also on QQ.com. Most Western countries put much more effort into education for juvenile delinquents using community service or educating their parents rather than just tossing them into jail. But in China, it's just the opposite.
Right, now that last poster mentioned educating the parents of these children, and I guess the parent is key here. I presume this case would have attracted far less attention if this boy was not the son of a prominent celebrity, right? Is that being talked about?
Yes, it certainly is. Well, actually, there's a video circulating on the internet right now of an interview with the father Li Shuangjiang. Well, in this, he actually says that he dare not offend his son and that children belong to the country. And it seems plenty of net users view this single case as a good overall reflection of how kids of officials or celebrities feel they can act with impunity under the protection of their powerful parents. Well, this poster says on Tencent.com. It seems to me crimes committed by kids of the elites have been reported frequently in recent years. Well, in 2009, we had a rich kid, Hu Bin, from Hangzhou, who hit and killed a woman. Then in 2011, there was Li Qiming, who invoked his police chief father by shouting, "My father is Li Gang," after knocking down and killing a girl. And in fact, just a brief internet search brings up many similar cases, such as officials' kids from Hefei disfigures a young girl, son of police head in Jinjiang stabs people, or son of a former police head in Taiyuan attacks police, and so on. And as for the causes, well, here's what a poster on QQ.com thinks. Well, first, these kids are brought up to believe power and money can handle everything. And second, they are spoiled by their parents and even the people around them. And finally, while they may have a material satisfaction, their spiritual life is empty, and some media call these kids spiritually left behind kids. And in fact, the state-run People's Daily ran a commentary on these elite kids just after the Li Tianyi's story broke. Well, this says many of these children have never had to work or struggle to achieve success, but are still showered with the results of the success. And if you want to know where kids might learn such behavior, just have a look at this video, which went viral online recently. Well, it shows the reaction of a man called Yan Likun when he discovers he has missed his flight in Kunming Airport. Well, importantly, Yan is not only an official for a state-owned company, but also a local political representative. So somebody with some power at a local level. And as many net users have pointed, what is interesting here is that not only does Yan feel it's acceptable to go berserk in public, his wife joins in too. And watching the entire scene are his two sons, who can see that none of the security guards dare to intervene as their father smashes airport property and abuse staff. Yan's excuse was that he was anxious to get his children to school and lost control. As one poster on Weibo.com called Han Bing Ma Qiu says, as a father, has he ever considered what impact this will have on his kids who are beside him watching all this?
Okay, that's fairly illustrative anyway. So back to the case of Li Tianyi, this 17-year-old, or Li Guangfeng as he's also known. It seems a lot of the discussion has been over rumours and official denials by the police. Can you give us some reaction to all of this, to what's been going on?
Well, sure. This case has spawned all sorts of rumours online, which the Beijing police have actually responded to. Well, one of these, which was particularly widespread, was that the case was settled privately with the girl after a large amount of compensation was paid and the accusation withdrawn. And the police pointed out that it's not the alleged victim, but the prosecutor who takes criminal case to court. Well, this poster on Sina.com has this explanation for all this gossip. One reason people tend to believe these rumors is that they are ignorant of the law. But a more important reason is that it's not uncommon to see the law implemented selectively and unfairly, and particularly allowing the rich and powerful to get off scot-free. And as for why the rumors appear in the first place, a net user writes on QQ.com. It's not hard to guess the intention of those who invent rumors. Well, they want to stir up public anger, so there won't be any chance that Li escapes punishment. Well, this poster says on the same website, the more unfairness that exists in society, the less tolerance there will be from the public. And finally, we have this advice from a poster on Tencent.com. Well, the kids of the elite aren't a large group, but once the problem appears, the negative consequences are huge. Well, there's still much to be done, but most urgent is to ensure that all parents are educated in how to bring up their children properly.
Okay, thanks, Julia. And that was China Tech researcher Julia Low with some reaction from the online community here in China to the less than edifying behaviour of some of the offspring of China's powerful elite in the wake of that ongoing rape investigation in Beijing. Next here on China Tech, some of the top trending phrases on China's most popular search engines. Let's see what's got Chinese net users curious these days.